So we finally got two in the books in pads, which were really good practices, competitive practices. It's nice to get the pads on where we can get some quality work. I just had mentioned to the team that I really appreciate their effort and their willingness to allow themselves to be coached. We've asked our coaches to be really firm with accountability and discipline and structure and just little things that we felt like that we didn't accomplish last year. So it's been very competitive, as I mentioned. Guys are protecting each other, but we're getting a lot of really quality work. Both quarterbacks are getting work, and we're rotating those guys in. So they're coming along. They're obviously making some mistakes. We're correcting them. Should be getting a little bit better every day. The guys that you would expect to have produced up to this point are doing a really nice job. Obviously, two makes a lot of plays, and running backs are having some success. I'm pleased at this point with where we're at with our offensive line, trying to develop some physical toughness, and I think we're getting there. Tight ends are coming along, cowboy backs, I should say. Defensively, we're getting good play out of the safeties that were young last year and got a lot of reps. We're thrown into the fire. Corners are competing. We're working hard to develop some backup corners to try to take a little bit off of 8 and 4. That's coming along. Linebacker-wise, it's new for us. Those guys that are in there didn't get a lot of reps last year, so they're like the quarterbacks. They're in there and they're learning on the run. And then we're rotating everybody in on the defensive line. The new guys are picking things up, and so I'm excited about where we're at. We had some last couple of days work on punt a little bit. I'm excited about the Australian. He does some really neat things in punting the ball. So everything's gone good up to this point. We got a long ways to go, but I like where we're at, and I feel pretty comfortable with the progress we've made up to this point.
When you talk about what kind of things is it? What's unique about it?
Well, it's just neat how he can, he can hold the ball and go this way and punt it, and hold the ball and go this way and punt it, and go all different directions. It's pretty cool what he can do. And actually, he's trained Jake. And Jake's kind of picking up on a little bit of it. So it was fun for me to watch him punt.
So the offensive linemen, how have they been adjusting to the new coach, and has he been working on technique at all with them so far?
Well, everything, just what they would do, normal transition, his way of coaching, his drills, his hand placement, eye placement, leverage, all the different things. And so I just kind of stand back and watch it. I like the relationship that he's developed with him in a short time. I think that's important at that position. So I feel like we're coming along just in really two padded practices.
How different is his coaching style from what you guys have had the last couple of years?
I don't know there's a lot of difference. Josh was a good teacher and somewhat to himself in his own world. I think Charlie's the same way. Neither one of them were screamers, but they're different in the drills. I know that the drill work that Charlie uses is somewhat different than what Josh used, and then Josh would be somewhat different than maybe what the other guys used. So there is a transition there, but I think it's going good. I know I asked some of the guys, and they're usually pretty honest, and they feel like it's that they're enjoying the process at this point.
I know Sean Gleason said after the first practice he's using this spring to try to learn a lot, soak a lot in. Have you learned anything watching him in time practice?
I think he knows more than what maybe he believed that he's leading on. We had a part of practice today where you called the plays, there was no script, and I noticed the timing and the flow was somewhat normal, so I think he has a pretty good idea of what we're doing. His drills are different than mine's. That is one thing I've noticed. I never really had drills when I coached quarterbacks. I was always with somebody. That was just my flavor. That's what I liked. He's done some different things, drill work with footwork and hands and such. So I have learned that in watching him. And I think that transition is going fine. That will be slower than a position coach in taking that role over. That's not something that's easy based on the way we play here offensively. But I mean, I was up here at 9 o'clock last night doing some stuff. Sean's in there working, so that's all we can ask. And I would feel like that as we progress forward, he'll be fine.
You mentioned what you've seen in the quarterbacks. What specifically have you noticed in Jordan Spencer so far?
Well, they make a lot of mistakes, but they have ability. They can make a play if things break down. They're very willing to learn, and they're competitive. So it's just not something that you can hit a fast forward button on. Quarterbacks, in most cases, get a lot better over a period of time.
Are there particular things you're hoping to see from them over the next month?
Well, I want them to be able to execute our offense without turning the ball over. I think we have enough guys that can make plays. You got 2 out there, you got 17 out there, you got 1, you got 30, 27, 28, the backs we have, Jelani, we've got enough guys to make plays, so we need them to function in our system and be able to distribute the ball in the right way without turning it over. That gives us the best chance for success.
Mike, spring is sometimes a time for experiments. One that you listed even before you got started was moving Joe Bear from offensive guard, where he was a little undersized, to that cowboy back, more maybe of a fullback type. What's he been able to do?
Well, he's learning also.
Yeah.
We need him to be able to secure an edge for us. He's going to be 280 pounds, 285 pounds, and should have some offensive line carryover and to secure an edge for us. And that gives us a little more flexibility running the football, which should help us throwing the ball down the field. So hopefully his transition will be smooth. And once he gets accustomed to the sets and the formations, it should be smoother than the other guys because he's had that experience in blocking.
How's Israel Antwine doing?
He's doing good. He's doing good. He played 450 plays last year in the Pac-12, so
yeah.
The game's the same for him somewhat. His terminology, the language he has to learn will be a little different, but once the ball's snapped, he lived in that world for 400-something plays, so his transition should be a little smoother.
Do you have kind of an ideal role for him? Because I know he played some in, probably more than outside, or more than inside Colorado.
That'll be interesting to see once we get into 4 or 5 more practices and they see what he'll do in live situations, whether we feel like he'll play some in or I know he can play inside because he's 300 pounds, but he is a little quicker than what most guys are that are 300 pounds. So whether he can play some on the edge or not, based on some of the things we do structure-wise, is yet to be seen, but I wouldn't rule it out.
Are there any other guys you've seen who are new who you think add something to the team this season?
Who are doing good now?
Yeah.
Well, McAllister's not new, but he's making some plays out here. You can tell that he's played a little bit. C.J. Moore is making a few plays. He's coming along. He's his biggest addition is 25 pounds. He came in here about $158, and I think he's 185 now, something like that. So that's helped him considerably. Up front wise, Brock Martin is showing some signs of maturity on the defensive line. It looked like Amon made some plays today at the linebacker spot. I tell you, the one guy that's made a few plays, and it's the almost way too early top 25 thought is Harper's brother, Thomas. Has made a few plays out here that are pretty impressive for a high school player, because he's supposed to be in high school now, and he's competing out here and he's made some plays.
What did you notice about Thomas Harper that first made you want to recruit him?
Well, we had a tie with his brother, and then on tape he made some plays and was successful. But when he came to camp and worked out here, had really, really good numbers and a high level of competitiveness that we liked.
His brother mentioned the fact that he worked with a trainer back home that works with some NFL guys. Were you impressed to see the kind of what he looked like when he came in?
Thomas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about any of that. I just know that when we got out here and started playing, that he's been pretty competitive for a young player. It's not easy to be a high school kid and come out and compete against these guys that have been in this organization for 3 or 4 years. I don't see that he's really scared of anybody out here. and his physical ability seems like that he's going to have a chance to maybe compete earlier than other people. Still way too early. We'll know a lot more in a month.
Do you think having his brother here makes him kind of more competitive to want to get in the lineup right away?
I would guess it made the transition much easier because he's been here so much. He knows people. Somebody, when you go off and go to college, you don't know anybody. It's different. He knows he's got his brother. He knows his brother's friends. I think that transition's been easier, and I think that Devin has helped him. As somebody mentioned, whoever just mentioned that was somebody just did. I think that has helped his transition because he is a little more comfortable.
You mentioned CJ. How have some of those other maybe inexperienced outside receivers been doing?
They're doing good. 15's doing okay. Trying to think of the other ones that were working out there. You got.
How's 85 doing?
He's doing good.
Coming off the knee
Yeah,
injury.
he's not really inexperienced, but he's doing okay. I don't think he's 100%. I think he's somewhat cautious subconsciously in his route running, but he's coming along. Kaufman, he's doing okay. We'll be able to find 3 guys that can play out there. I don't see that'll be an issue for us.
How are your defensive ends looking other than beyond Brock and maybe Mike?
I guess okay. I watched tape yesterday. When I sit up there and watch practice, it's hard for me to see, in detail. One, because I don't know what they're asking them to do, whether they're in a C gap or a D gap, and so that makes a big difference. It's really hard for me to tell. When I sit in and listen to what the defense says, I know that they feel like they're learning, they're coming along. There will be some growing pains at that position. It's just the way it is. But we're hoping there'll be enough of them to get in there and play hard that they can create some disruptiveness that'll be good for our team.
Saw a string of refs heading out right before y'all wrapped up. Is that have you done that in the spring in the past? I should probably know.
We have them here every day now. We've generally just had them on scrimmages, and we have, there's 3 or 4 or 5 of them that we have coming now. Some of them want the work, they want to come in and get the work, but it's also good for us. It kind of gives us an idea of where we're at from offensive hold and defensive hold and things like that. So I think that's been a good addition. I know there's been other teams across the country that use those guys every day.
Some of the groups had the extra padded helmets. Is that something? Is that something you guys just started this spring? I don't remember seeing it before.
We've had them before. We hadn't required all of them to wear them. We didn't know that we had enough studies that were confirmed that there was actually a reason to wear them. We're somewhat convinced now that there's enough study out there that says that it doesn't hurt our guys to wear them, so it can only be somewhat preventable. Now, whether they go to the extreme of reducing concussions or not, I don't know that there's enough study out there, but we feel like that it can't hurt our guys, and just the basic laws of physics would say that it should help them. And so for that reason, we put them on all of our guys that are in the interior of the offense and defense.